Hello everyone and welcome to another Minecraft video with me, SnoopyDoodle. So in today's video, I thought I'd be handy just to go over a few tips and tricks in dealing with villagers that I've learned over the years of playing Minecraft. Hope you guys find it useful. So this is a typical Minecraft village in Plains biome. This is a super flat world just for examples, but minus this and this is basically what villages normally look like. So it can be a really good source of early game food when you can just find a bunch of hay bales and turn that into bread. And it can be a good place to find some crops that you didn't already have, such as potatoes, well, those are beetroot seeds, carrots, some wheat, and you can just find some generally good crops. Also, you can find in the houses some beds. So if you're having trouble finding some sheep to make the wool and get a bed, you can find an easy bed in these houses. Now, villagers are going to be used for one thing primarily, and that's going to be trading. So here I have one of each type of villager, minus the nitwit, because I couldn't get one to spawn, and those guys are useless anyways. So first we have the toolsmith, and he sells tools, and if you upgrade him all the way, he can sell you enchanted diamond tools. His workstation is the smithing table. Next, we're going to have the weaponsmith. Same thing, except for weapons. He can trade all the way up to diamond axe and sword. Then you have the shepherd, whose workstation is a loom. By the way, grindstone is this guy's stuff. And these guys are kind of useless unless you have a wool farm from the sheep, and then they will be able to trade some emeralds for that. The mason is going to have the stonecutter as his workstation. He can trade quartz blocks and pillars as a master. The primary villager that you're going to want to get a lot of are going to be librarians. So these guys can trade enchanted books, and you can re-roll. Their workstation is a lectern, and so you can get whatever book that you want as the first trade, and that's generally good for getting your gear upgraded. The farmers have the composter as the workstation. They can trade melons and pumpkins, which can be easily farmed automatically, AFK, and they also trade golden carrots, which are a great food source. The leather workers have the cauldron as the workstation, and they just trade leather and saddles and things of that nature. Not super useful, but they can be if you have a lot of leather. Then you have the Fletcher. They can trade you arrows and bows and enchanted bows and special types of arrows. Also, the Fletcher has a stick trade as one of their first trades. This one doesn't have it, but sticks are really easy to get early game, so they can be a good source of emeralds. The Fisherman, he can trade coal and raw cod and raw salmon, as you can see right here. So if you have a guardian farm, this might be a good option for you to have to get lots of emeralds. Barrel is his workstation. The cleric, these guys can be a really good source of early ender pearls if you're looking to find the stronghold in a world. The brewing stand is their workstation, and they can also sell bottles of enchanting, glowstone, lapis, redstone, so some good trades for those guys. The cartographer, the cartography table is obviously their workstation. They can sell, or they can buy paper, and they can sell you empty maps and banners and glass panes they can buy, which is a pretty good early game trade. And then they can also sell you maps to woodland mansions and ocean monuments if you're looking for those. The butcher will trade you different raw meats for emeralds, and you can trade him emeralds for different cooked meats. Also, dried kelp blocks and sweet berries can be traded to them for emeralds. The armorer is a really good trade, so they can get you some really easy iron armor at the very beginning, and then as masters they can trade you a full set of enchanted diamond gear, which is really handy. You don't have to use diamonds to spend it on pretty much anything. You can have the armor and then tools and weapons all accounted for with villager trading. So next I'm going to go over different things that you can do with these trades. So if you're looking to actually assign a villager a trade, what you can do is place a workstation in front of an unemployed villager, which is one of these guys. So if you try to right click on him, he's not going to be able to trade anything. He's just going to shake his head like that. But if you put a workstation in front of him, like so, he will turn into a villager of your choice. So depending on the workstation you put in front of him, he will turn into that villager. So this is a lectern, so he turned into a librarian. Check his trades. He has Curse of Vanishing. That's not really useful. So if we break this workstation, replace it, it'll turn into a different first trade. And that goes the same with almost all of these guys. So this guy now sells a bookshelf and paper, buys paper. Power 1. At Fire Aspect 2, and so on. You can keep doing that until you get the trade that you want, and you're going to be doing it a lot with librarians probably, so you can get a lot of different enchanted books, and you can get the highest trade for those enchanted books. Next, I'm going to put a list of my preferred enchantments that I usually go for at the start of a world. Also, when you're getting a villager to choose a profession, it's best to have them in one of these 1x1 cells and only do one at a time. So that way you can ensure that you're focused on the right villager and that he can swap the trades and nobody else is going to be interfering and nobody else can see his workstation. So another trick is this magma on their feet will stop them trying to pathfind to other stuff, and they can't move anywhere, so they will just not try to look for other workstations, and it'll reduce lag in your world. So if you want to lock in a trade, all you have to do is trade with them, and then you'll see this experience bar go up a little bit, and then they will be locked in. You can break their workstation, and they will stay as a whatever profession that you gave them before. So like I can break this guy's workstation. He stays as a armorer because I already locked him in. And there I placed it down and he got it reassigned to this workstation. So in order to be able to refresh their trades, they have to have a workstation available to them, like they have to be able to pathfind to it, and also they will refresh their trades twice a day. So when you trade with them, you can trade up to a max of 12 times for a certain trade usually, and then it is locked out. But then they will refresh their trade and you can trade with them another 12 times. So a total of 24 times per day for one specific trade. It'll make more sense once you're actually trading. Alright, next up is going to be villager safety. So if you have villagers in a free roaming village like this, one thing you can do is just wait until it's nighttime and they all go inside the houses, and then just place a couple blocks in front of their door so that they can't get out. Like so. Whoops. I messed that up. Like that. And now this guy is trapped inside of his own house. You can see it in there. Make sure it's lit up in there so no bad guys spawn. But, because if you just leave the village the way it is, zombies and pillagers will come by and they will try to kill all these guys, and you don't want that. So, it's actually safest to have them inside of a building in a 1x1 cell like this, so that they don't die. But if you do have them free roaming, sometimes you'll have iron golems that will help you out. So if I was in survival and I hit a villager, this guy would try to attack me. So another safety consideration is if it is thunderstorming out, if these guys get struck by lightning, it will turn them into a witch. So to avoid that, just place a roof above 5 blocks above their head, and that way they'll stop any lightning from being able to reach them. Or you could have a lightning rod if you're in a version 1.17 or beyond. So next I'm going to demonstrate zombie villager curing. And one of the dangers is the sun. So if you're doing out in the open like this and they're not covered up, the zombie will be on fire. It'll make the zombie villager on fire also because he's exposed to the sun. So what you want to do is you want to keep them covered up like this, and you want to expose them to a zombie. This is in hard difficulty. It will be a 100% conversion rate. But next you have to convert them back to a villager, and I'm going to show you how to do that in this next clip. We're going to need a golden apple and a splash potion of weakness. Alright, now that I've got the both items that are required, what I'm going to do is I'm going to splash him. You'll see these particles come off him, and they're also on me. Take the golden apple and right click on them. They'll start shaking and give these red particles now. So now that is the curing process started. Now you just have to wait a few minutes until he becomes a regular villager again. Okay, so as you guys can see, that is how it works. And the reason that you want to do that is because if now I right click on them, all these only cost 1 emerald now. So I can get a full set of diamond gear for 4 emeralds, which is really cheap, especially when you do the conversions. Whoops. Especially when you do the conversions on multiple people and you can trade like 1 stick for 1 emerald or 1 fish for 1 emerald. Or if you have farmers, then you can trade like 1 melon or 1 pumpkin or 1 carrot, 1 anything really for 1 emerald. And then you can use that emerald to turn it into diamond gear or enchanted books to put on your diamond gear. And really at that point, you're all set. So the hardest part is going to be getting all the golden apples and potions of weakness after you have your villager set up, and then getting a process to convert all of them. Also, one thing to keep in mind is you want to heal anybody up that you accidentally damaged. And speaking about damaging people, there might be somebody that you don't want actually. And a way that you can get rid of them is you can just, instead of killing them, because if other villagers see you kill somebody, they will know. So if you just get some sand or gravel, put them in a 1x1 hole like this, and then they can suffocate like that. Or you can stick them on a minecart and then put blocks in a little L shape like this, and then just roll them under it so that their head is inside the block and they suffocate. So now that you know that villagers can suffocate in solid blocks, how do you avoid that? You just use glass blocks. They can, for some reason, breathe inside of glass blocks, and that way you just avoid the suffocation or them getting injured through suffocation. Which brings us to our next part of transportation. So there's a couple ways that you can transport villagers. One of them is going to be by using a workstation. So I'm going to place a villager down, and I'm going to place a workstation down. Let's see if he actually goes for it. He's not going for it. So this can be very troublesome in a village where you have multiple villagers trying to find workstations. And now he just hopped in a boat. So normally, if you only have 1 villager that you're trying to lure, you can, I'll just demonstrate with these guys maybe. You can place down a workstation and they will go towards it if they like it. Alright, like that. And then you can break it and place it down again and he will go over by it. But like I said, there's multiple villages around here, which is another reason to do it 1 at a time. So the next method of transporting, which I think is a little bit better than using a workstation, I have to get rid of this guy first. He doesn't like me because I keep hitting him. So if other villagers see you hitting villagers or killing villagers, then they will increase their prices when they're trading with you. So it's best to avoid doing that in front of other villagers. But the other way is you can use a boat. If I could stop pressing shift. There. You just go, but the only disadvantage is that you can't go up blocks. So if you have a barrier, you have to remove the barrier, get back in your boat, and keep boating. Also, if you get stuck on a path block like this with a boat, you can't get off the path block and you have to basically make the rest of the stuff path blocks in order to get off it. So the other method of transporting, which I think is by far the best method to transport villagers, is using minecarts. So you stick them in a minecart, and you can either use powered rails or you can use if you're in Java Edition, you can use a furnace minecart like this and a piece of coal or charcoal. And all you have to do is get it just behind them like this, and then right click on that and it'll move along behind them and keep pushing them in that direction. So it's really useful if you are early game and you don't have a lot of powered rails, and then you can just use that as a way of pushing multiple villagers along a long railroad track if you only have iron and no gold or redstone. Alright guys, that's going to do it for the video today. I hope you guys learned something and can apply this in your own worlds and can get to starting with villager trading. There's plenty of villager trading hall designs that will help automate the process, and I'm going to link Logical Geek Boy's villager breeder in my description so that you guys can have a way of getting a large amount of villagers started in your worlds on your own. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Remember, God loves you, and have a good one.